I don't have friends. I got family.
Let's do this.
This takes crazy to a whole nother level.
Just when you didn't think it could get any better, huh?
Hell yeah. Woo!
Now we're talking. This time it ain't just about being fast.
It's time for Movie Month. It is my third annual Movie Month, in which I will be watching 30 movies in 30 days, and I'll either hate them or give them praise. For years, I wondered what the appeal was to the Fast and Furious movie franchise. From what I saw in the commercials, it seemed like what turned from a kind of a car racing movie into a weird, giant, action-packed, action movie, I guess. And but all I saw was that they kept making them, and they kept making tons of money. So last year, I decided to give them a try. And 6 of my 30 movies for last year were the first 6 Fast and the Furious movies, including the first one, which was on the first day of last year. So it seems fitting that on the first day of this year, I catch up with the franchise with the 7th installment, simply titled Furious 7. So what's the appeal of these movies? It's kind of weird to say. It's, I'm watching it going, the acting isn't that great. The dialogue isn't that great. The action sets or the action pieces are ridiculous, and I couldn't get enough of it. I think that's what it just comes down to. You just can't get enough of it. It's like, Vin Diesel kind of, he has one kind of tone, like when he's happy, he's like, I'm happy about having my family. And when he's angry, he's like, I'm angry that you have threatened my family. And I assume when he's lovey-dovey with Michelle Rodriguez, he's like, I love that you're part of my family. He doesn't emote, and yet in one ridiculous scene, which I can almost say was like a sword fight, but he was using giant wrenches and he was fighting Jason Statham. He said, you think this is a street fight? And then he just said, you're goddamn right it is. And I was like, you go get him, Vin Diesel. Kick his ass. I started watching the Fast and Furious movies last year, as I said, and Paul Walker had already been, gone for a couple of years, having died, not during the filming, but, at the same time that they were filming this movie. So I knew going into all the movies that, wow, this guy's no longer with us. And it was just weird because this was the movie where that he didn't have a chance to complete it. So morbidly, I'm trying to figure out which parts of the movie were him, which parts of the movie were, stand-ins. I know his brothers stood in a little. I think his brothers acted as dubbed his voice a little bit. There was a lot of digital facial overlay, kind of like Benjamin Button. And, for the most part, it worked. I mean, there were little scenes where I go, oh, I think that's where that is. A lot of it was, when it was brighter daylight or closer up stuff, you thought, oh, that, I think that's not him. And it was just, it's sad because, these, like him and Vin Diesel became really close, and watching this movie, knowing that they're acting with someone who isn't him, you feel like it's got to be weird. And they did a nice little send-off at the end for him. And I'm not going to lie, got a little misty-eyed. I mean, he looks so friggin' young in the first one compared to this last one. And it's like, oh, they're showing him in the dark, or they're turning his head, or he's looking away, or they're shooting him from a distance. And you just wonder how things would have been different if, obviously, that tragic accident didn't happen. But let's talk about this movie specifically. Now, and I say that I'm going to jump right to the other movies. I think Fast Five, I remember loving Fast Five, and then Furious 6, I think it was called. I didn't care for that one as much. Maybe I thought that was overly dumb. But then this movie goes and says, we can be dumber. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, at one point, they say, well, we can get in there, and they drop their cars out of an airplane with parachutes, which I'm sure is done. I've seen it in other movies. I saw a movie where they had Danny Glover had to bring an elephant into Africa, and they did that with a parachute. So I know parachutes can carry cars, and I know the military does that, at least in movies. So that was not a problem. But at one point, Vin Diesel gets cornered, and you think, well, there's no way out of this. He's like, yeah, there is. I'm going to drive my freaking car right off the cliff. Boom. Off the cliff. I thought, oh, he's got another parachute. He's going to catch and he's going to float away. No, he just drove right down off the cliff with a woman in the car. I assume she was seatbelted in. I assume he was seatbelted in. Well, he was seatbelted in. Rolling around, rolling and tumbling. They get to the bottom. He pulls himself out of the car. He's like, ouch, I'm in pain. And the girl was passed out, but they're fine. Completely fine. And I think they added a roll cage in the car, but I mean, just drive off a cliff, no problem. And then later on, they want to steal a car that's at the top of a giant skyscraper. Not a problem. Just drive it right out the window into the next building. And when the brakes don't work, that's fine. Drive it right out that window into the next building. Ridiculous. And I kind of loved it. The thing I didn't like about this movie was not enough rock. You can't get enough rock. And I don't know why he was really not in this one that much. But they injured him early on in the movie, so he's in the hospital. Of course, I think he was watching the Hurricanes, which I think is the team he played on. Forgive me if I'm wrong. On the TV. And he was watching The Incredible Hulk, which I thought was also kind of funny. I don't know if that was kind of something to do with the Avengers. I'm not sure, but I got distracted by watching the Red Sox. They just pulled Buchholz out of the game. Man, he sucks. Anyway, when The Rock finally decided he needed to get into the action and get out of the hospital, he pulled a Breakin' 2. And by that, if you've ever seen the movie Breakin' 2, Turbo broke his leg, but decided he needed to break dance. So they just cut the cast off him and he started to break dance. No problem. The Rock, whose character is Hobbs, decided he needed to get into the game. So instead of calling a nurse, he was in the hospital. He wasn't, so at least Turbo was, got taken out of the hospital by the dancers from The Miracle. In this movie, he's just in the hospital. He could literally have called the nurse and said, get this cast off me. But instead, he stares at his arm, his giant bicep, and he just makes a muscle and rips the cast right off because, of course, that's what he does. There's some weird things. And I love Jason Statham. It's weird seeing him, rooting against him as the villain. And at one point, he and Vin Diesel are fighting at the top of a parking garage. And this helicopter shoots a missile into the parking garage, just enough so that Jason Statham is standing over cracked pavement, and Vin Diesel just is like, "You got to make sure the street always wins," or something like that. And he stomps the ground like the Hulk, and the pavement drops. Now, what if it cracked a little more and Vin Diesel fell too? So you think Jason Statham kind of falls to his death. The spoiler alert, this movie came out last year, so I don't care. He just kind of falls away, and they forget about his character. And I thought, oh, he's coming back. No, next scene, they just show The Rock with him in handcuffs. So there were some weird little plot holes in this. I do like how they did this thing with the time, that in the chronological order of movies, it goes 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and kind of the Tokyo Drift takes part at the same time as 7. And I think because there's one scene where he goes to Tokyo, and with little Bow Wows in it. I think that is literally from Tokyo Drift. And then they shot another scene with the dude from Tokyo, the star. I can't think of his name. The guy from Tokyo Drift and Vin Diesel, kind of like a follow-up to, his original little cameo at the end of Tokyo Drift. I'm talking so much about Tokyo Drift. I'd just like to say that. So here's the thing now. It's already been announced that there's been a part 8, but back to The Rock. Not enough Rock. Always need more Rock, and I think he's going to have a bigger role in Fast 8, which is what I've heard. But he should have had a bigger role in Fast 7. Especially with the Paul Walker thing. You'd think maybe they would have beefed up his role to compensate, but they didn't. And that's fine, I suppose. But I'm kind of staring at the Red Sox at the same time. Look, this is the first of 30 movies in 30 days. This is the first of maybe 30 podcasts, maybe 20 podcasts. I'm going to try to do as many podcasts as I can. But of course, the first night I have to do one. And I have to say, this is a lot easier than typing because I'm just sitting here talking into my computer and getting my thoughts out. Obviously, there's no editing involved. There's less thinking involved. There's less preparation involved. I'm just talking with as much memory as I can. Oh, I still dislike Michelle Rodriguez. That's all I have to say about that. As far as an acting. And there was no little stinger. There was no after credit scene, probably because they did the before credits kind of montage for Paul Walker. Overall, I would say this is not the worst. It's still not the worst. 2 is the worst. 2 to me is the worst. Worse than Tokyo Drift. I'm not sure it's my favorite. I think 5 is the favorite. And as you know, or may not know, there have been 3 more movies announced, 8, 9, and 10, to finish out the franchise, which is shocking that this is a 10-movie franchise. And each one's probably going to do $1 billion, no problem. Part 8's going to do $1 billion, no problem. But now, maybe I can go see these movies in the theaters. Now I'm completely caught up, just like everybody else out there who's been a fan of these movies for years. I've seen all of the movies as well. And I'm happy I've done it. And I don't think this would have been possible if I didn't start doing Movie Month. So, first day, done. Now, you might not be getting these episodes until the following day, so you may be a day off from me. But this is Tuesday, June 1st, 2016. This is also Wednesday, June 1st, 2016. I was off a day. Wednesday, June 1st, 2016. First of 30. Furious 7. Fun movie. Great movie. Oh yeah, Kurt Russell was in it too. He was kind of cool. It was a weird scene where he got shot and he just kind of winked at Vin Diesel. That was weird. Also, I like seeing the regular cast of characters. I forgot Eva Mendes was in these at some point and then she wasn't. I don't know. I forget what happened there. You think these movies are fresher in my mind than people who haven't seen them in years, but in one ear out the other. When I see Fast 8, I'll be like, who is this character? And of course, Gal Gadot wasn't there because she was probably busy being Wonder Woman at the time. fansnotexperts.com is the website. Geek Mentality is the podcast. So if you go to iTunes, search Geek Mentality, you can download this from your iTunes store right onto your iPod. But if you just want to listen to it, you can go to fansnotexperts.com. At fansnotexperts is the Twitter for that. At Geek Mentality is the Twitter for the podcast. Hashtag FNE Movie Month is what I've been using and what I will be using for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 30 days. So check it out. Follow along. We're on Facebook at Fans Not Experts. We'll be putting every post there as well. Let me know what you think of these movies. Let me know what you think of Furious 7, the first of 30. Also, each of these episodes is going up on SoundCloud. So if you are a SoundCloud user, look for the user FNE Movie Month. It's a brand new user account I created just for this month. So check that out. Every episode's there. But the easiest place to find it is fansnotexperts.com. There's really not much else to say, except this movie was fun. It was goofy. The acting was sometimes bad. And yet Tyrese still kind of makes me laugh sometimes, even when he's not funny enough to be the funny guy. Still kind of works for me. But, oh, yeah, okay, before I leave. So the plot line is really all over the place. I can't believe I waited till the last second to get this. So here's the quick plot line, the quick summary. So Jason Statham, they took out his brother. So now Jason Statham wants to start killing them. He kills Han in Japan, which kind of happened, depending on recently, but the movie happened like over 10 years ago or something like that. And then he plants a bomb and delivers it to Brian's house, the Paul Walker's house, explodes the house, blows it up, bing, bang, boom. So now, Vin Diesel real angry and he's like, I'm going to get that guy. So he says, okay, he's going to go after that guy. But at the same time, Kurt Russell says, hey, wait. This guy works for another guy and I need your help with this, finding this hacker who is like, literally, it's the girl who's the kind of the second person to the Khaleesi on Game of Thrones. That's who this girl is. The African-American girl with the British accent. I don't know, very pretty. And of course, she's a hacker, of course. So the gang, I'll call them the gang, has to help Kurt Russell's military group find this hacker because she has this cool hacking thing that can see anything, anywhere, called the God's Eye. If you look at on, they can basically use any camera all over the world to track someone in real time. So if they help Kurt Russell get the hacker and the God's Eye, then he'll say, okay, now you can use it to go get what's his name? Jason Statham. So they find the hacker, but the God's Eye is hidden in a car in Abu Dhabi. So they steal the car and jump it through buildings to get the little hacking thing out. Then they say, hey, Kurt Russell, here it is. And he says, cool, here you go. Go find Jason Statham. They're like, okay, we're going to use it to find Jason Statham. When they go to use it to find Jason Statham, the first time they use it, they go, oh no, we lost it. And Jaimin Hunsu, I think that's his name, who's working with Jason Statham, now they have the God's Eye. So they basically took it, and the first moment they had, they gave it away. So now they have to hack into the hacking thing at the same time that Vin Diesel is killing Jason Statham or beating him up with wrenches on top of a parking garage. They're chasing a helicopter, yet trying to avoid the helicopter at the same time, getting close enough to hack it. And a drone is following them around town until The Rock shoots it and then shoots it with a helicopter gun, I don't know. I can't believe I waited till the end to talk about how ridiculous this movie was. Excuse me. So very contrived, all over the place. And yet none of that mattered because some of the stunts and some of the chase scenes were just awesome. And that's what they do. That's what they're good for. Like in any other movie, these scenes would be the big finale. And in this movie, it's like, oh yeah, it's the 20-minute mark. We still have 2 hours to go. Okay. Now that's probably how I should have opened the episode, but again, talking right off the cuff, as they say. Once again, fansnotexperts.com. I'm going to take a drink of water right now. Glug, glug, glug. fansnotexperts.com/geek mentality. You'll find it. Hashtag FNE Movie Month on Facebook, on Twitter. If you want to find us, you can find us. So thanks for listening. This has been Mike, first of 30. And I will talk to you tomorrow. So, good night. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. 'Cause I'm kind of funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time. And I'm kind of handsome. My mom says, please Please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans not experts.